Tim's News Explosion. 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 Tim's News Explosion.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Tim's News Explosion. Today is Monday, the 1st of August, 2022. Pinch punch the first of the month, as the expression goes. August will be the last official calendar month of this wretched winter down under. I mean, when it ticks over to September, it doesn't automatically means it's a nice spring weather. We are live on the Wilmsfront YouTube, D-Live and Odyssey channels, as well as the interactive entropy software, which I put the link into the live chat, where you can send through a direct question or send through a super chat. It is 8:30 p.m. here in Melbourne, Victoria, where on the weekend there was a rare victory for People Power Pushback, with the Shrine of Remembrance CEO, Dean Lee, cancelling plans yesterday to light up the shrine in rainbow colours. He wrote on his Instagram of the cancellation, "We wish to advise to changes to the programming related to the Defending with Pride stories of LGBTIQ plus service. The exhibition and last post service scheduled for Sunday, 31st of July will proceed as planned, but the rainbow lighting to the colonnades planned for Sunday evening will not. As a peaceful place of remembrance, we seek to provide a safe and inclusive place for all. Over several days, our staff have received and been subjected to abuse and in some cases threats. We have seen something of what members of the LGBTIQ plus community experience every day. It is hateful. In the interest of minimizing harm, we have given this matter careful consideration and sought the guidance of the Shrine's partners and friends, including veterans associations and representatives of the LGBTIQ plus veteran community and the Victorian government. 50 years ago, the creation of a memorial to women's service at the Shrine was controversial and opposed to by many. Earlier this century, similar opposition was expressed to the introduction of an annual service commemorating Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander service men and women. A decade ago, conversations about veteran suicide were taboo, yet today it is the subject of a royal commission. Society's values change, and the Shrine is a participant in that change and will continue to honour the service and sacrifice of all who have served Australia." What a bunch of self-indulgent crap that statement was as well. I mean, saying, we now realise what LGBTQI have to hateful comments they have to put up with on a daily basis. That's a bunch of crap. And it's worth pointing out that the CEO of the Shrine, this guy here, Dean Lee, he has, as far as I can see, no military defence force service. So his CV on the Shrine website says he is accomplished executive professional with more than 30 years international experience in commercial, not-for-profit and government roles spanning the commemorative tourism, membership and environmental sectors. He holds a Bachelor of Applied Science and Executive MBA and has achieved professional certification with the Australian Institute of Company Directors, Project Management International and the Australian Institute of Management. So yeah, the guy who's in charge of the Shrine, honouring fallen Australian Defence Force personnel, has no background in the actual things that he is in charge of commemorating. Now, he claims that he consulted with veterans veterans organizations and communities, but that's not actually true. The RSL Victoria was not consulted, and he was pleased the display was cancelled. Robert Webster said the view of most returned service league members he had spoken to was that the gesture which was taking place on Sunday night would have been inappropriate. We are a very conservative organization. Webster said the RSL was also concerned about the abuse and threats the RSL and the Shrine had received in reaction to the lights and plans, and he believes scrapping it would diffuse the situation. And we finally hear he tells off of one of the threats were. I had a threat that there would be 10,000 veterans converging on the Shrine forecourt, making sure it wouldn't happen. So threatening to peacefully protest, that's now a threat. I wonder what is classified as abuse. Is calling it inappropriate, obscene, abhorrent. Is that classified as abuse now? And Avi Yemeni of Rebel News, he spoke to the Victoria Police officer in charge of security at the site and said that no complaint had been made to him that there were about so-called threats that were given to the shrine. So the officer said they were not actually threats; they were just hate mail. Again, who defines what hate mail is? I mean, we know how snowflakey particularly those in charge of these institutions who try to turn them into these virtue signaling meccas they get triggered and offended by the slightest bit of criticism. Now, of course, it was highly inappropriate and to light up the shrine in the rainbow flag colors, given that the flag in the current year is used to push an extreme political and social agenda. In fact, Dan Andrews himself was asked about the plans to light up the shrine in these political colors, and this is what Dan Andrews said.
Mr. Andrews, we're hearing of plans to bathe the Shrine of Remembrance in the colours of the LGBTQII+ flag this week. Could you clarify your stance on this?
Look, it's a disgusting thing. It's a sacred place. It's a place where we honour the sacrifice of those who gave so much, and it's just not appropriate to be there. It's just not. It should be there for silent reflection and for an honouring of those who gave everything for us.
Premier, what do you think the impact of this will be on the community?
For fair-minded people across the state, it's very jarring, it's very confronting.
Mr. Andrews, one final question. Could you articulate in a single sentence how you feel?
It's deeply offensive. You know, it just doesn't make any sense.
Mr. Andrews, thank you for your time.
Now, of course, that was mashed together by IML Condent. Dan Andrews was talking about the freedom protesters late last year who, well, they didn't choose the shrine to congregate at during the September week of rage protests against the lockdowns. The Victoria Police cornered them there and then shot them with rubber bullets there. And of course, the shrine, the reason why it's a sacred place is because, well, part of the reason that people gave their lives to in the service of our country was for freedom, and that's what the people that they're at the shrine that day were also wanting to protect freedom. I mean, Dan Andrews now thinks that he and the people that he appoints to the various institutions get to decide what the shrine represents. And Dan's number one fan, the PR guy, put up on Twitter. So remember, the PR guy's real name is Jeremy Hewitt Maluta. So he said, "It's the memorial to those who fought for our freedom." Now, in a chilling attack on that very same freedom, far-right activists have abused and made threats to staff at Melbourne's Shrine of Remembrance over its plan to commemorate the LGBTIQ heroes who serve Australia. Far-right activists are at war with Aussie values, and the latest assault on the freedoms our fallen heroes fought for following a dark chapter which saw deeply disrespectful behavior at the shrine when far-right activists assaulted police and urinated on the sacred memorial. That's a masterclass in spin from the PR guy, because it was the Victoria Police who assaulted activists, and it was the police horses who urinated on the shrine. And now, despite the fact that the shrine itself wasn't lit up in the rainbow colors, yesterday at the shrine, they still raise the corrupted rainbow flag, as I call it, because it's got the black and the poo brown stripes as well. And as I mentioned, there wasn't this consultation with groups that, with the RSL that Dean Lee claims. And I think that this whole exercise in virtue signaling, and also, like, what's it matter what the particular, sexual preferences of the various Defence Force members were over the years? I mean, they weren't signing up to the Australian Defence Force as heterosexual, homosexuals, as Aboriginal or white. They were signing up to the Australian Defence Force. So I think why the lighting up of the shrine in the rainbow colours was so inappropriate is best summed up by SAS war veteran Heston Russell, who is founder of Voice of a Veteran.
Hey, g'day everyone. Let's have a quick talk about this Shrine of Remembrance having the LGBTQ colours being rainbow initiative. I get inclusion. As a gay former Army Special Forces person, I struggled with it my entire career, but I didn't struggle with it because of homophobia, or predominantly homophobia in and around me. I struggle with it because society continues to try and put labels on us to define us by diversities, for example, that I was born with and didn't choose, whereas the military was the most perfect community that I was judged on my character and how I showed up and what I did. So places like the Shrine of Remembrance are there to commemorate service and sacrifice, not individuality. Service in the military is about putting the mission and team before yourself, joining together for a purpose. We wore the same uniform, carried the same flag on our sleeve, had the same flag commemorate the coffins of those we've lost. There's a little bit being lost here, and that's why the military and elite sports used to be those great areas where we removed politics from them because they were true and authentic in their person. And that's just what I hope we can get back to, focusing on people and their performance and what they do and how they show up, as opposed to what label they choose to carry and rely on.
Very well said, Heston. And I didn't even know that he was gay, because his activism with Voice of a Veteran has spoken for itself in helping to get the Royal Commission into Defence and Veteran Suicide established. So the website is now vsf.org.au, and Heston was also the founder of the Australian Values Party, which ran at the federal election. He ran for the Queensland Senate, didn't get very many votes, but he had a crack. And he also has his own podcast as well. I should really reach out to him to see if he wants to come as a guest on Wilm's Front, because he'd certainly be somebody whose experiences are worth hearing in depth, and he's doing great work. Now, the Andrews government is that they've still got their all-encompassing LGBTIQ agenda and spending of taxpayer money. So Harriet Shing, MP, who I should mention is married to Dan Andrews' Chief of Staff, Lizzie Ratcliffe. So she posted on Twitter announcing $220,000 for grants of up to $10,000 for Vic LGBTIQ plus events and projects to celebrate, connect, and share who we are. Applications for the Pride Events and Festival Fund are open until the 21st of August. So the Victorian state government has the biggest debt in state debt in the nation, and they're pissing more money away to have various rainbow events. And Tim Smith, a Liberal MP, said last week the Labor announced $130,000 to give fruit bats a shower. Now $220,000 for gay tea parties, and the madness of Melbourne continues. Maybe why can't they? The Andrews government invest that money into the healthcare system that they say is under pressure at the moment? I don't know, maybe into monkeypox prevention. Now, despite the Andrews government, its continuing scandals, its waste and corruption, the mainstream media is still obsessed with newly selected Liberal candidates for the Victorian state election. I covered last week a pro-life, pro-family and pro-woman City of Melton councillor Moira Deeming winning pre-selection for Bernie Finn's old upper house position on the Liberal Senate ticket in West Metro. And so another one of Dan Andrews' ministers had a go at Moira. Housing Minister Danny Pearson said on Friday that Liberal leader Matthew Guy had the opportunity to call out her remarks but chose not to. He chose to stay silent while his candidate has made some appalling comments that are deeply transphobic and against the rights of women. Moira is pro-woman. It's the Dan Andrews government that has been busy trying to erase women. They now refer to women, particularly Dan Andrews in particular, as that person. So again, it quotes all the, well, I would say good things that Moira has said. Deeming claimed in 2016 that Safe Schools program was sleazy, unnecessary drivel. And so, well, because Moira was democratically pre-selected by Liberal grassroots members, Guy said, I'm not interested in comments she's made in the past. I'm interested in what she's doing as a candidate. Liberal Party is committed to ensuring it had good representation in the western suburbs. So Guy is well aware, and I said this last week, that the local members rebuked him for his pushing out of Bernie Finn, who is now in the DLP. And they've also had a go, mainstream media, at another just pre-selected Liberal candidate for the upper house in Eastern Victoria region, Renee Heath, who's a chiropractor, and apparently she's as it says here that that she's been under fire for her father's connections to a conservative church, accused of historic links to gay conversion practices. So not current, well, it's illegal now in Victoria, but former. So Liberal supporters have said Heath, whose background is in science, does not support gay conversion therapy and did not pitch herself as a candidate attempting to wide back the coalition's progressive agenda on improving gay rights. As a chiropractor, I think the only thing that Renee is focused on keeping straight is people's backs. So again, another pathetic mainstream media hit piece on, well, another female Liberal candidate. They don't seem to like these female Liberal candidates, the mainstream media and the Andrews government. I mean, Dan Andrews himself has displayed a woman problem over the past, 6 years, I would say. Now, we had Anthony Albanese at the Gama Festival in Arnhem Land in the Northern Territory, where he unveiled the referenda question he will put to the Australian people to change the constitution to enshrine an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander voice. So this is what it will be. So Anthony Albanese proposes to add 3 sentences to the Constitution. There shall be a body to be called the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander voice. The voice may make representations to Parliament and the executive government on matters relating to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. The Parliament shall, subject to this Constitution, have the powers to make laws with respect to the composition, functions, powers and procedures of the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander voice. And so the question that'll be in the referendum, do you support an alteration of the Constitution that establishes an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander voice? So it's clear from this that parliamentary supremacy, meaning that the elected parliament will still retain the right to enact laws for all Australians, including Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander. And so apparently the Anthony Albanese, he'll announce the details of how this voice will actually work down the track. There hasn't even been a date put yet for the referendum. The Australia Institute, which is a Greens-aligned think tank, they did a poll which claims that there is now 65% support for enshrining the voice in the Constitution, only 14% no, and 21% not sure. And of course, the Labor government is pressuring the coalition to support it, so it's bipartisan and has more chance of passing. At the Gama Festival, this is the Indigenous Affairs Minister Linda Burney with the Shadow Indigenous Affairs spokesman Julian Lisa, who is not Indigenous. He's actually Jewish, but Peter Dutton most likely selected him to be the Shadow Indigenous Affairs spokesman and Shadow Attorney General because he supports the voice, while newly elected Indigenous Country Liberal Senator Jacinta Price does not support the voice. This is what she commented on an Australian story on her Senator Jacinta Nabaginta Price Facebook page. The voice is being led by members of the Indigenous elite who've spent their lives on the gravy train built on the backs of the misery of the most marginalised and changed nothing for them. The voice to Parliament is the gravy train attempting to ingrain itself in the Constitution. So despite its failures and lack of accountability, can never be dismantled. I think it is Labor who are confused about the detail of the voice or whether it will be defined before or after a referendum. It is clear as mud the most marginalised Indigenous Australians in remote communities haven't a clue of what it is or how it's supposed to support them. Now, many of you might recall that there was a previous statutory body, the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Commission, ATSIC, that was in operation from 1990 to 2005, and it was dismantled due to corruption. Now we are told this voice won't have oversight in distributing funds to Indigenous programs. But again, how is this? Who are going to be the members on this voice? Is it going to be elected? And obviously, you assume it would be a race-based election. But as we keep being, well, as the Speaker, Melton Dick, said last week, we now have the most diverse parliament, record number of Indigenous Australians. There already is a voice to parliament, democratically elected. We are a liberal democracy, one vote, one value. If you're going to have an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander voice, why don't you have a voice for the Italian Australian community or the Greek Australian community? I mean, where does it end? I mean, this is the absurd thing about these modern identitarians. They want to the elites or the activist class want to speak on behalf of, most of the time, people who are not engaged, and if they were, might not agree with what these activist elites are pushing. I mean, it's the same what I was saying before with the shrine. You just heard from a gay veteran who didn't want the rainbow lit up, and he wasn't alone here. So I have very much have my doubts that this voice, once established, would be truly representative. I'll certainly be voting no, because, well, I certainly don't want a constitutionally enshrined body that could be another ATSIC in our constitution. And we had another stunt today in the Senate by Greens Senator Lydia Thorpe, who decided to, disrespect her when she was taking the oath of office, and she actually had to retake it because she decided to pull this pathetic stunt.
Greens Senator and Indigenous activist Lydia Thorpe has caused a stir in the federal Senate this morning by mockingly reciting the Oath of Allegiance.
Thorpe, please recite the affirmation on the card.
I will be faithful and I bear true allegiance to the colonising Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
Senator Thorpe, you are required to recite the oath as printed on the card.
Senator Thorpe did eventually recite the oath and was officially sworn in. Meanwhile, former Prime Minister Scott Morrison has returned to the Parliament after an overseas speaking tour. He was sworn into the House of Representatives this morning and will sit on the coalition backbench.
You're right. Lydia Thorpe's dad is English, and he's actually a One Nation member. And also, fun fact as well, that Clementine Ford's father ran as a One Nation candidate there. And now the reason why Lydia Thorpe in the end recited the oath as it was printed, because otherwise she wouldn't get her $200,000 senator's salary, and of course wouldn't get her place in the Qantas Chairman's Lounge as well, that she is quite fond of as well. Now let's move on to the health update, and the monkeypox outbreak has claimed there's now been deaths outside of endemic Africa. There have been 2 in Spain. There has been 1 in Brazil. And there was also 1 in India and also 1 in Ghana as well. So the 2 ones in Spain were from encephalitis of the brain caused by the monkeypox. So this is super serious, and anyone can get monkeypox, despite 98% of the transmission in Western nations being men who have sex with men. Australia currently has 45 confirmed monkeypox cases, most of which have been imported. So as I mentioned on Trad Tasman Talk on Friday, there is a scramble for the 3rd generation smallpox sterilizing vaccine Gynos, and I saw a article in the Guardian on the weekend that said we must use the spring period to vaccinate as many at-risk community people as possible, because Australia is hosting World Pride next year, which could be a super spreader event. Now, I covered last week the fears of a foot and mouth outbreak. We already have a foot and mouth outbreak amongst our political class. It's been endemic here for many years, but foot and mouth, if it was imported from Bali to Australia, could threaten our $80 billion agricultural industry. Last week, the Agriculture and Emergency Management Minister Murray Watt unveiled new biosecurity measures at airports, particularly people returning from Indonesia. And there has been I think it's the first infringement for a biosecurity breach from Indonesia. So a Darwin passenger, he has been fined. I'm not sure if it's a he. They have been fined $2,664 because they were carrying 2 egg and beef sausage McMuffins from McDonald's in Bali, as well as a ham croissant in their luggage. The fast food was discovered by Zenta, a detector dog at Darwin International Airport. And so Murray Watt said this will be the most expensive Macca's meal this passenger has ever has. Biosecurity is no joke. It protects our jobs, our farms, food and supports the economy. Passengers who choose to travel need to make sure they're filling the conditions to enter Australia by following all biosecurity measures. It's clear that this passenger was trying to bluff Zenta with his McMuffins, but obviously the Zenta could read their poker face. If you figured out my riddle. And of course, we've had US President Joe Biden have a rebound in COVID infection after taking Paxlovid, the antiviral drug, which is distributed to people his age. He's had about 5 Pfizer doses. And anyone want to guess who is the manufacturer of Paxlovid? Who else but Pfizer? So yes, Pfizer says that, they've claimed that there's a 2% possibility of a rebound infection with Paxlovid. And you might remember that Dr. Anthony Fauci, he also got a rebound infection from Paxlovid. And also another potential side effect of Paxlovid is that it can actually mutate the virus inside in the person who's taking it. So that's, we obviously don't need that as well. Now, Paxlovid seems to be being promoted over the other oral antiviral option, which is Lagviro by Merck. So Merck is also the manufacturer of ivermectin. Some people have called this Lagviro. I can't believe it's not ivermectin. Now, going over to the UK, because they had those 2 days of over 40 degrees, and apparently there was going to be thousands of excess deaths. Well, apparently in those 2 days of extreme heat, all the water evaporated from the UK, and now there's a hosepipe ban. That's the new science. And obviously, Boris Johnson is still the caretaker prime minister. The final two to replace him as Conservative leader, Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak. They had quite an unexpected debate recently on Talk TV when their political editor and moderator Kate McCann collapsed. Obviously, probably due to climate change, the heat.
Likely to get worse. Well, the cost of not doing anything to stand up to Vladimir Putin is immense. If he succeeds in Ukraine, he's not going to stop there. He's going to challenge the freedom and democracy. Oh my God.
She was all right, Kate McCann, but yes, clearly she was suffering from SACS, which is sudden adult collapsing syndrome. And obviously we've seen a lot of sports stars have SACS over the past year and a half. There's a super chat from I'm a Stupid Moron for $5 Australian dollars. Thank you very much for the super chat. Can you look up this video, Tim? And I've got the link for you. So this is from the Daily Mail. White people will be the first target. South Africa's Julius Malema warns of impending violence because the poor are getting poorer. Yes, I am aware of this black supremacist white genocide advocate, Julius Malema. He is of the what is it? What's his party called again? It'll have it down here, but he's from the. Hang on, I'll look it up because I know that I'd say Economic Freedom Fighters. That's what it is. That's what his party is. Some of you might remember that I interviewed Simon Roach of the Zoitlanders, the white South African survivalist movement. Yes, Julius Malema. Yeah, he is the chair of the Economic Freedom Fighters. So yes, he is a very dangerous individual. All right, that's the end of the show tonight. Thank you to all of you for tuning in. I did notice that when I started the stream, it took a while for the audience to trickle in. So I'm assuming that YouTube is up to its old tricks again and not notifying subscribers to the Wilmsfront channel. Make sure that you click the bell to allow for notifications. So when that means that you'll get a notification half an hour before the show goes live, and obviously when it goes live as well. There'll be no Wilmsfront this Thursday. I've mentioned to you all previously, because I'm moving this month, there might be some disruption to the schedule. But Trad Tasman Talk with Dewey de Boer will definitely be on this Friday night, 6 p.m. Melbourne time, on the Unshackled YouTube channel. Dewey is going to unveil his Christian nationalist manifesto. So I'm very much looking forward to hearing that. And there'll be a new report from Tiger Mountain with Richard Wollstonecroft published this week. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you check out the unshackled.net directly, because that's got all of our content there. We also cross-post to Telegram, Gab, Twitter, and Minds, MeWe, and locals.com as well. But I'm still sending out the weekly Unshackled newsletter, so make sure you subscribe to that. I couldn't send one last week because I was sick, but I did send one this Saturday. All right, I've gone way over time, so thank you, everyone. Stay safe, stay warm, stay sane, stay healthy, and yes, stay free and stay speaking. That's what I'll add tonight. Good night, everybody.
Tim's News Explosion. 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 Tim's